An activist journalist says war plans were leaked from the White House. Trump's tariffs are working, and Alejandro Mayorkas loses his security clearance. Here's the top 5 reasons Trump is trending today. All right, number 1 reason Trump is trending today. Activist journalist Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, shocked the world today by saying he was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with the National Security Council and was privy to war plans that were being discussed. And so this thing took the internet by storm today, saying that this was a huge breach in security. And so many articles are flying around now. So Jeffrey Goldberg is saying he was added to the same Signal chat, which Signal obviously encrypted messaging app that's used by both journalists and members of government. 18 members were included in this chat, including the National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, Vice President J.D. Vance, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and the list goes on and on. So all the big heavy hitters are in this Signal chat. Now, he has screenshots of messages that were going back and forth in this chat. And the very confusing thing here, number one, we have to remember Jeffrey Goldberg, who he is. See, this guy is an absolute Trump derangement syndrome activist, not a journalist. He's an activist. This is the guy who pressed heavily into the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, which was all a complete fabrication. He is the guy that created and made up the suckers and losers hoax that Trump called the members of the military suckers and losers. So this is a guy that likes to put anything out there to try to dismantle and to try to throw shade at President Donald Trump. This is exactly who he is. This is never anybody that's going to give you honest reporting. Never. He's only going to give you reporting that is anti-Trump and tries to make the Trump administration look bad. So you have to remember exactly what source this is coming from. Number 2, you have to wonder, why in the world would somebody like that even be in the contact list from anybody on the National Security Council? Get him out of your contact. I don't want nothing to do with this guy because we know he's an activist. He's not a journalist. So why is he even in the contact list of any one of these members is very puzzling. And how did he get inadvertently added to the chat? Brian Hughes, the National Security Council spokesman, responded saying, "This appears to be an authentic message chain, and we are reviewing how an inadvertent number was added to the chain." And so Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, he said nobody was texting war plans. And Christina Wong from Breitbart actually pointed out a great point that Pete Hegseth is still trying to figure out who is the leaker inside the Pentagon who's leaking information. He's running an investigation right now to find out who's leaking information from inside the Pentagon, and the media has no issue, no concern about that, just like they had no interest in who leaked the Dobbs decision. So the media is very selective on what they actually care about and what they deem to be very important. But again, so this is the big news that's going on with the Trump administration, that this Signal account was somehow, this activist was added into this Security Council meeting. How he got into that chain is unknown. How he got added makes no sense. But again, the source that this is all coming from, this is a man who absolutely hates Trump and would do anything to take him down. So take that with you. Number 2 reason Trump is trending today, the Trump tariffs are working beautifully as Trump announces today that more than $4 trillion in companies are moving back to the United States. So we are seeing an explosion of money, investment, manufacturing coming back into the United States as a direct effect of the Trump tariffs. These companies are going to want to build in America and not have to pay the tariffs. So that is going to bring these jobs, which brings us back to the fact that we, like I was speaking with Mike Rowe, have got to reinvigorate the trades here in America with more manufacturers coming back and so many still available, where the blue collar, hands-on, dirty jobs, so to speak, are very readily available. They are high-paying jobs. We have got to get the young workforce interested in the trades once again, because it is going to be a jobs explosion here. But people are going to have to get in there, get their hands dirty, and get these jobs done. Number 3 reason Trump is trending today, he had a cabinet meeting today, in which he did discuss some of that, what we just said about the manufacturers coming back. Also, he talked about the government efficiency and fraud. The cabinet members reported cutting wasteful contracts, $830 million for surveys, $2 billion for an NGO tied to Stacey Abrams, systems and reducing federal workforces, including non-existent or non-working employees. So Elon Musk, his team credited with a lot of that. They talked about border security. They're near total control now of the border, talking about how obviously the border now is not being compromised and invaded as it was for 4 years. They talked about foreign policy, progress on ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict through negotiations, and expanding the Abraham's Accords in the Middle East. They emphasized that, and they also mentioned Greenland's potential strategic importance. We know he has been sending people over to try to negotiate to see if we can make something happen with Greenland. So we'll see what happens with that. They also discussed education being shifted to the state control, energy policy, reversing Biden-era restrictions, and prices such as eggs going down, groceries going down. All this happening because of the policies put in by the Trump administration. So a great cabinet meeting today for President Donald Trump. Number 4 reason Trump is trending today, speaking about the invasion of our border, former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas had his Secret Service protection removed today. President Donald Trump revoked the Secret Service protection for Alejandro Mayorkas. I don't think this is far enough. I think Mayorkas needs to be investigated. I think he needs to have charges against him. He was an accomplice to President Joe Biden in allowing the invasion of our southern border to occur. We know that by how Trump just shut it down. We've said this a million times. The proof is in the pudding now. There's no denying the fact that they intentionally allowed our country to be invaded. It was an act of treason. There's no other way to cut the cake. Alejandro Mayorkas played a major role in that. And in my opinion, he should have handcuffs and he should be in a prison cell along with Joe Biden and many others in that administration that allowed these people to just come storming into our country and go all over the United States. They were shipped everywhere into all kinds of neighborhoods. There should be very, very big penalties for what these people allowed to happen to our country. And now we have to pay to get them all out. So they screwed us by bringing them in, and they're screwing us because we got to get them out. So one way or the other, they should have to pay a high penalty. Number 5 reason Trump is trending today, John Phelan has been confirmed as the Secretary of Navy. And also today, President Trump announced his nominee for the director of the CDC, which is Dr. Susan Menarez, saying that as an incredible mother and dedicated public servant, Dr. Menarez understands the importance of protecting our children, our communities, and our future. Americans have lost confidence in the CDC due to political bias and disastrous mismanagement. Dr. Menarez will work closely with our great Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Together, they will prioritize accountability, high standards, and disease prevention to finally address the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. We know without a shadow of a doubt, Americans now have completely lost faith in these organizations that are dealing with health, such as the CDC, the World Health Organization, all of it. It has all plummeted because we were lied to, and we know we were lied to, and our faith in these institutions has been decimated, and hopefully we could start to regain some of that back. That's what I got for you guys here. If you enjoy these breakdowns, make sure you follow the podcast. You can hear the top 5 reasons why Trump is trending each and every day.
Trump is trending, he's everywhere. From the news to the cat babies in our air.